This is the new to me Takeuchi TB153 FR. Got a cutter on the front of it, 42 inches. Going to use it behind the house for the first time right now. Going to clear out that little area right there, and I'll keep you updated on how it goes. Got heat, air conditioning, even got a radio and a cassette deck in it. Pretty spacious tent. This is what I'm going to cut between the pine trees here. I don't have a really good way to put it on the stand. I'm just recording it on the cell phone, but I'll try to do it a little bit where you can see what's going on in a moment. Kind of hard filming this with one hand and then running the machine too. I'd be a little more efficient if I had two hands on the machine. If I wasn't filming, I'd be moving my right hand and adjusting that cutter head also, but I'm filming, so I'm going a little bit slower. I may need to, if I'm going to film this a lot for advertising and for people to watch, because it's kind of, I enjoy watching it, I may end up having to invest in a camera and a stand. But this is really the first time I've used the machine, and I'm pretty impressed with it thus far. I cut a little bit at work, but it was a lot smaller stuff, bamboo. I think I could stand to sharpen the blades a little too. Trying to take a little more right there. That's a good size little piece of sweet gum. If I want to just knock them down, I could just knock them down also, but I'm also trying to get it where I can kind of shred them. But I know I'll get better at it. I've probably got, all told, 45 minutes running the thing right now, so I'm still trying to learn it. This is a white oak, so it's going to be a little bit more. I'd like to keep it, but what I'm trying to do in this area is get it where we can rake vine straw, perhaps have a little flower bed. And plus we've got some other white oaks that are a little bit larger. If anything, the white oak is chipping up a little bit better than the sweet gum did. But as far as getting a chainsaw and cutting up, well, it never, see I'm at 34 seconds right now. I've got to move my right hand. This whole tree's pretty much chopped up in the mulch. And again, if I was able to use both hands consistently without the camera, I do a little bit better, because it does kind of like a backhoe, which I've got on backhoe controls, and I ran enough of a backhoe that intrinsically I know what does what, so doing it with one hand is kind of slowing me a little bit. Now, I'm not going to try to film this and run it at the same time, but I'm going to show you this right here. To the right of the pine tree. I'm going to take all of that out. Alright, it's been 2 minutes. I got all those little ones out of there. And now I'm back to using one hand. And kind of go in on this. That's probably about 6 to 8 inches in diameter. So I'm just going to take it slow, chip it up as I go. May end up with a little bit bigger pieces, but again, I'm still using just one hand, which is slowing it down. If I could tilt it, get a little bit better. I think I would do much better with 2 hands. So tilt my blade a little on my cutter. This was another sweet gum, and I'm kind of surprised, well not really, because sweet gum's got a real weird grain to it usually. It's a pain in the butt to split, but how much easier the white oak went than the sweet gum. But in the grand scheme of things, this is a whole lot quicker than a chainsaw and a brush chipper. You're doing it all in one motion. And if you want to take it in sections, you can actually take it in sections, carry it off, but I have no interest in leaving the cab or taking the thumb on, which I've got a bucket and 3 thumbs for this machine as well. And again, I'm kind of going slow because I'm switching hands back and forth, if you can't tell with the camera, instead of running the machine with 2 hands. Which, as much as I'd like for you to see this, I'm going to have to use 2 hands. So I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. When I got down to the bottom of this, there's actually another tree behind it. Like I said, I'm not getting out of the cab because that's why I got air conditioning and a cassette deck. But I'd say that's probably about 8 inches, 9 inches in diameter, and then it's still got the other tree behind it. So I'm backed it with one hand, but basically, I'm grinding a stump now. And it's doing a doggone good job. I got it tilt out over here. My right hand is the tilt and the curl and that second arm. Sorry, I wasn't filming what I was doing. And then my right hand is the main arm and the swing. Come down on that. Got to swing out a little. Tilt. I think this would be about my limit that I'm going to want to do. Probably take down a pine tree if I was patient enough. Good size one. You can see it's one of the bog right there. But all of those little stumps together is probably about 12 or 13 inches. And I'm going to stop, use both hands and get rid of it. And I'm going to clean this little pile up. To do that just by setting the bucket down, or not the bucket, the cutter down on top of it. I did something I said I wasn't going to do. I left the cab. But I'm not going to do that on any job that I'm working on. That's why I got air conditioning and a tape deck. This is the one we've been working on. You can see the size of it. It took it down pretty doggone good. That's my shoe right there, which is an 11. So it's a pretty good size stump. But that whole tree's not there anymore. All right, I'm gonna reposition from where I was working on that good sized tree, the one that's about the size of my foot at the bottom. If you wonder how I'm filming and moving at the same time, you can drive it with your feet or your hands. I'm gonna come around. This is the area that we were just working on. Come around, get these little tops right here. And then just keep working my way back. both hands for this, but I'm going to show you a before and an after. I'm going to try to get these vines up in the pine tree here. I'm recording through the roof currently, and I'm back to one hand again. As you can see, I'm going to work my way down, which will require both hands. But I'm going to get all these vines in that little tree right there, and try not to bark up the pine tree anymore. Stuff's out of the tree. I'm going to come back, clean that up a little bit better with both hands. Now, little stuff like this is just gone. And I know I've got my back end up a little bit from my front end on that, but again, I'm doing to do it with one hand. Instead of two. But you can just see this little stuff right here. Just gone. Almost forgot. Got high-tech heat and air conditioning, complete with wooden wedges to blow it up on me instead of somewhere else. And on the back side back here, behind the seat, we've got the height of 2007 technology. Got a radio and a cassette deck.
But it's a shame because those Marvel movies, those superhero movies back in the day, they were great. The whole first 4 phases, some of my absolute favorites, culminating with Avengers Inc.
I can't see what channel it's on. Don't know if the tape deck works. I'm assuming not, since all the trash would go right in here. But that's pretty cool. You got you a tape deck.
What is going to happen with Israel and the never-ending attempts by Hamas to eradicate Dr. West?
You're not safe from the news, even in the excavator. A nice rear view mirror. See what's behind me? Sunroof.
My joints are what they used to be. Routine exercise, playing ball.
I really don't understand, other than maybe for loader work, why it's got the bars on one side but not on the front or the sunroof. Probably going to have to put a screen on this. I'm pretty good about keeping the cutter pointed away. Turn this radio down. Pretty good at keeping the cutter pointed away, but I know eventually something's going to come through here and want to join me. But good visibility, good access to the controls. So far, I'm very pleased with it. This is a little area that I cut today. Overall, I spent about 40 minutes. That spot out there where you can tell where the grass is, that's not it. It was about from right here. And right in here. And as you can see, everything that's on the ground is pretty much mulch or sticks that I could very much deal with. By the time that I cut this come spring, when it starts growing back, all these sticks will just be falling apart mulch. But the pines we're going to keep. The bigger of these smaller pines, we'll keep, let them grow on up. Eventually harvest them too. Oops, sorry, I'm moving too fast. But all these little sweet gums, all that stuff's gonna go. This is a water oak, I think. Might be a little hickory, but it's probably 3 inches in diameter. The top of it I just knocked off. Trying to get the whole thing at once. As it gets closer to the root, you have to swing chips versus logs. It's probably about 4 inches in diameter down there at the bottom, maybe 5. But to the left and the right of it, they're not there anymore. That little pines, sweet gums that I'm taking. Just took them like they were nothing. Just swing right across. But again, it's a little bit hard to do it with the one hand. It's probably not very pleasurable to watch either with one hand. Let's see if I can move this into some of that little smaller stuff right there. I can't cut and track at the same time. I can have the cutter going and I can track, but it takes too much of the hydraulic fluid. Alright, here's a little sweet gum right here. Gone. Gone. I could actually have just taken that one down at the stump, I think, or at the root to begin with, but I'd much rather just have the little chips everywhere. I can go back, set the cutter down on top of the limbs, get rid of most of it. I like little stuff like this, just go on through it. The thumb is inoperable when the cutter's on there. So I guess if it came to it, again, you see this looking weird, this because I'm using one hand to run it. So you just take care of that. But if it come to it, I need it to, I could always get the cutter off of there. Put the thumb on, pick stuff up. Got my blade down as a stop. Doing all this with one hand makes you appreciate having two hands. Boom being over there makes it a little bit hard to track to the right sometimes. This old rotten log on the ground, it should just splinter to pieces. Plan for all this is to open it up, have the pines here. We'll be able to rake pine straw, maybe put a couple of azaleas down here. But I'm going to clear it back, I don't know, probably 50 or 60 feet, and then just have the woods everywhere else. This machine really, the reason I got it instead of a skid steer with a cutter, is because I can set on good ground and not be bouncing through the woods, falling in holes like you would on a skid steer. I can see what I'm cutting before I'm in it. Also, it'll reach up to 12 foot high, 12 foot down, and 20 foot out, which would be really great for ditches and pine banks, pine dams, that you wouldn't be able to do with a regular skid steer. But as I get better at it, the videos will be better. I think I may invest in a little camera with a stand instead of trying to film it all on a cell phone and use one hand. And I'm going to go hunting now. Maybe a little bit better view of what got cut today. And if I say so, that's not that bad. For every time that I was filming, and even on the films that I didn't use, which was pretty much the whole time I was filming, using one hand.